Temataa Station is a large cattle and sheep property in the coastal hills of Doubtless Bay. It was the 2016 Supreme winner for Northland in the Balanced Farm Environment Awards. An intensive beef system has been adopted to minimise soil damage and improve the quality of water leaving the farm. This approach has also resulted in substantial increases in production.
In Northland, we don't have a spring, so we don't get the big differences that a lot of people in other parts of the country have to deal with. And that's actually to our advantage. It means that we can grow young stock very well through their first winter. Our main weakness is the wetness of the country, and it's not so much comes from rainfall, it comes from springs in the country. The water just pours out of these hills. The other disadvantage we've got is kikuyu. It's a great grass. It will grow when your ryegrass won't when it's too dry, but it won't grow below soil temperatures of about 12. And so it's a type of grass that has its advantages as long as you manage it correctly. We moved into an intensive beef systems because they seem to hold the answer to a lot of the problems that we were facing. When we first looked at these systems, our driver wasn't production. Our driver was to look after the soils we had and try and stop the pugging, stop the leaching of nutrients, and through soil moving off and getting washed down our drains. That was the big driver, and the production is actually a sideline of it, which I'm quite happy about. But we were doing 215 kilos of carcass weight per hectare on this farm as it was traditionally run. Now we're doing just under 400 off the beef units, and the sheep are doing about 230. And so it gives us a farm average of about 360 odd, 370 kilos of carcass weight. There is two areas of the farm I won't put into intensive beef. One is an old par site, so I don't want to run intensive beef over that, so I'll keep a few sheep for that. And there's another area of slumping ground that we're establishing poplars on at the moment. Our biggest opportunity will be try and learn off the dairy farmers about how they manage pasture, particularly the farmers that are running mostly all grass systems. I think we've got huge potential to manage our pastures as well as they do and increase our production that way. This originally was 5 big paddocks with 20 hectares each, and the pugging damage up here was horrendous. If you rode a bike through here, you had to have a mouth guard on. It was just terrible. So what we've done is put the intensive beef systems in. We immediately doubled our production overnight just by putting the systems in. And then as we've gone along, we've increased the production on this area by improving the pasture. This was a lot of rank kikuyu up here. Very, very little topsoil. This country, when it was broken in about 40 years ago, it only ever grew tea tree about 2 feet high. It was very, very poor soil. Whereas now, if we dug a hole, we'd probably end up with a good 100 mil of topsoil, and we've created that topsoil. We generally work on 5 hectares per lane. Every lane is broken into 60 cells, and we put 25 bulls on that 5 hectares. So it's roughly a stocking rate of 5 bulls per hectare of these little R1 bulls. We work on a 60-day rotation. For us up here, that's about a good length. Obviously, further south, you'll need a longer rotation, but for us, 60 days. They get 2 cells for 2 days, and we shift them every second day. Coming into the spring, we speed that up. We give them 3 cells. That cuts it down to a 40-day rotation, and then we'll go down to giving them 4 cells for 2 days, and that gives them a 30-day rotation. The layout of the systems, it's absolutely critical. Size doesn't matter. It's all GPS'd, and every cell on this system is exactly the same size as every other cell. What we're finding the longer we're running these systems, the difference is getting less and less between your good country and your bad country. There is still a little bit of a difference, but okay, the 2 days the bulls are in the good area, they get fed a little bit better than the 2 days are in the poor area, they get fed just slightly bit less. It all evens out. These systems are flexible. You can run whatever you like on them. You can run heifers, bulls, steers, cows. You can even run sheep. You just need to run another few wires and you can run sheep on these systems. Under this system, our 2-year-old bulls down on the flats are doing about $2,500 a hectare. On this country here, these bulls are doing just under $1,900 a hectare, and our cows on the hills, like behind me, are doing about $1,200 a hectare. We're really try and minimise pugging, and we've got to get the cattle shifted as soon as we can in the morning. And there'll be 2 of us, and we'll move just under 1,000 head of cattle and probably 30 odd mobs, 35 mobs. And if we're not home having a cup of coffee at 9:30, there's something major gone wrong during the day. We use a micro trough on the technos, and in the cell systems we use a portable trough that we move with the animals. It's not cheap, it's sort of around that $400 a hectare to set up water, $100 a hectare to set up fencing, and yeah, $50 to $100 for your design. So roughly $500 to $600 you can get all the infrastructure in, but it's stocking the system that's the expensive bit. We're setting up a trial, Beef and Lamb are funding it. It's to try and work out the production gains from mulching or mowing or hard grazing. So we're setting up on our flats here, which are pretty uniform, 4 trials of bull rotations. 1 we've mulched, 1 we've mown, 1 we've hard grazed, and 1 we've just left as a control of what we'd normally do. And what we were trying to do is just sort these bulls out and try and get the same kilos of live weight per hectare on each of the rotations to try and make it as fair as possible. And we'll be weighing these bulls every 6 weeks all through the winter. We're doing pasture cuts and dissections and measuring the ME of the grass, as well as doing plate meters and measuring the physical volume of the grass. And just trying to work out which is going to be the most economic, whether it's mulching is generally twice the cost of mowing, so you've got to get quite a good production gain to cover the extra cost of mulching, or mowing compared to doing nothing.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.